So you want to be a drone pilot, like not just for fun, but an actual career.
Hmm.
That's what we're diving into today, using your RoleCatcher excerpts to really explore this whole like high-flying field, right?
Yeah.
By the end, you'll know if it's the real deal for you, the ups, the downs, and even like how to get started yourself.
It's more than just a hobby now, though.
Right.
That's what's so interesting. RoleCatcher really highlights that shift.
Yeah,
It's like, remember when people used to scoff at, like, graphic design being a real job?
totally.
Drone piloting's kind of on that same trajectory now.
It is cool, though. I always thought it was cool, but I figured it was mostly like photography gigs, maybe the occasional like wedding video.
Sure, and those exist, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating is the sheer range RoleCatcher found.
Okay.
Agriculture, construction, even, like, cinematography for big-budget films.
Wow.
Turns out, if a job needs an eye in the sky these days, they're probably hiring someone who can pilot a drone.
So it's not just about being good at the controls then.
No,
Like, what else does this RoleCatcher thing say you actually need to succeed?
exactly. Flying's just the start.
Right.
RoleCatcher emphasizes aviation regulations, safety protocols. That's, like, universal.
Of course. Yeah.
And then there's also stuff like good communication, being able to work with the team, often under pressure.
That makes sense. It's
Yep.
almost like being like a mini business owner, even if you're employed by someone else. You've got the technical side, the client side, got to keep it all running smoothly.
And that's where those transferable skills come in.
Yeah.
Critical thinking, problem solving, analyzing data.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher points out these aren't drone specific.
Right.
Even if your career path shifts, that foundation's still valuable.
Speaking of paths, one thing I found interesting was, like, you don't need to be a pilot already to get into this.
Yeah.
Which seems wild.
It's more accessible than people think.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher mentions joining local drone clubs, assisting professional pilots. Those are fantastic ways to learn by doing.
Oh, cool.
Honestly, even just getting comfortable with your own OBN drone, mastering the basics, that's a huge leg up.
So you're saying someone listening could start today building skills relevant to this career without needing like fancy degrees or anything.
Absolutely. Of course, certifications come into play later on, but that initial passion and hands-on experience,
Right.
RoleCatcher's right, you can't beat that.
Okay. But let's be real. Eventually, you do need that job. Right. What does RoleCatcher say about actually landing a gig in this field?
This is where their AI stuff gets really interesting, actually.
Okay.
So their CV resume builder tool actually analyzes job descriptions, finds the exact skills employers want, then helps you tailor your application to match.
So it's like having a secret decoder ring for those online applications.
Yeah.
No more resumes, just like vanishing into the abyss.
It's more about speaking the language those systems understand.
Right.
But yes, RoleCatcher gives you the tools to stand out, which is key in a competitive field.
And once you snag the interview, they've got your back there too, right?
Absolutely. They have this massive database of interview questions,
Okay.
like over 120,000 of them, with some specifically for drone pilots.
Wow.
And here's where it gets really interesting. They offer AI-powered practice sessions.
What?
So you record yourself answering questions,
Okay.
and you get feedback on your delivery, content, everything.
Well, it's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
It is.
Talk about like a next level prep.
It's all about confidence. You have the skills, but being able to articulate them clearly in an interview, crucial.
Right.
And RoleCatcher helps you hone that.
Okay, so we've talked about getting started, landing that first job, but what about actually building a career as a drone pilot?
Right.
What's the long game look like?
Well, RoleCatcher points out there's definite room for growth.
Oh, okay.
You could specialize in, say, agriculture or construction. You could move into management as you gain experience. Teaching and research are even options.
Wait, Professor Drone Pilot. I can get behind that. But seriously, that's an important point. This industry is changing so fast. It's not just about flying, but also shaping where it goes next, you know?
Exactly. You need to be adaptable, always learning, and genuinely excited by this tech's potential.
Yeah,
That's what'll make a career, not just a job.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being like amazing at the controls.
Right,
It's
yeah.
about being adaptable, a problem solver, almost like a Swiss Army knife of skills.
It's true, and that's something that RoleCatcher emphasizes too. They highlight the importance of being detail-oriented, able to focus intensely, especially when you're dealing with, complex machinery in challenging environments.
Right, one tiny mistake with a drone could have like way bigger consequences than, say, forgetting to water your houseplants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about being able to think on your feet.
Okay.
Things will go wrong, weather changes,
Yeah.
a sensor malfunctions, you name it. A good drone pilot can adapt, troubleshoot, and find solutions under pressure.
So resourcefulness is key. What about those times when you can't just fix it yourself, though?
Well, communication comes in huge there.
Yeah.
Even if you're flying solo, you'll likely be dealing with clients, contractors, maybe even local authorities.
Right.
Being able to explain what you do, address concerns clearly,
Yeah.
that builds trust, which is invaluable.
It all comes back to those like soft skills, doesn't it?
Totally.
Technical know-how is essential, but being able to connect with people is often what like seals the deal.
100%.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher even have a whole section on the different certifications and qualifications that can boost your credibility in the field.
Right, like that Part 107 thing they mentioned.
Yeah.
What exactly is that for those of us who aren't quite at the certification stage yet?
So that's the FAA's Remote Pilot Certificate, specifically for commercial drone operations in the U.S. It covers everything from airspace regulations and weather operations to emergency procedures and radio communication.
Oh, wow.
Basically, it proves, how to fly safely and responsibly within the national airspace system.
So even if you're like a pro at navigating your drone around the park,
Right.
getting certified shows you're serious about turning it into a legitimate business.
Exactly. And it's not just about looking good on paper either.
Right.
Understanding those regulations can actually make you a better pilot,
Okay.
even if you're not in the U.S., because chances are your country has its own set of rules you need to follow.
Right. Safety first, always.
Always.
Okay, so you've aced the Part 107 exam, you're racking up flight hours, networking like crazy. What's next T on the drone career ladder?
Well, as you gain experience, you might take on more complex projects, maybe even start supervising other pilots.
Okay.
Some drone pilots specialize, becoming experts in specific industries like agriculture or construction.
Right.
RoleCatcher actually highlighted this one company using drones to inspect wind turbines.
Talk about a view.
Right.
But that makes sense. You become like the go-to person for those really niche tasks.
Exactly. And from there, you can even move into management roles, overseeing entire drone operations.
Well.
Or, if research and education are more your speed,
Yeah.
there's a growing need for qualified instructors as the demand for skilled pilots increases.
So you're saying I could trade in my pilot's hat for a professor's tweed jacket one day?
You could?
I kind of love that idea.
Yeah.
Passing on the knowledge to the next generation of, like, drone enthusiasts.
Absolutely.
That's cool. But, okay, that's all super encouraging.
Yeah.
But let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say the drone in the sky.
Right.
What about the potential downsides of this career path?
Sure.
RoleCatcher mentions job displacement due to automation, which sounds kind of scary, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely a topic worth discussing.
Yeah.
Automation is happening in every industry, and the drone sector is no exception.
Because it's not hard to imagine a future where, like, drones are pretty much flying themselves, right? Leaving us humans grounded and out of a job.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Automation doesn't necessarily equal job elimination.
Okay.
It often means job evolution.
Okay. Job evolution, not elimination.
Right.
Like the sound of that. So how does that actually apply to, like, the drone industry specifically? Are we talking, like, robot overlords or something a little less dramatic?
Definitely less dramatic.
Okay, good.
Think of it this way as drones become more autonomous.
Yeah.
The role of the pilot, it might shift from like hands-on flying to something more strategic.
Yeah.
Instead of manually piloting every movement, you might be programming flight paths, analyzing data collected by the drone, and then like making decisions based on that information.
So less about joystick skills.
Yeah, more like a drone operation manager kind of role.
And more about understanding the data.
Right.
And making, like, smart decisions based on what the drone is actually seeing.
Exactly. You're still a crucial part of the process, just using your expertise to kind of guide the technology and make sure it's being used effectively. It might even open up opportunities to work with larger fleets of drones, like coordinating their movements for maximum efficiency.
That's actually a really cool way to think about it. Instead of being replaced by the technology, we're learning to work alongside it, almost like a partnership, you know?
Precisely. And that requires a different skill set, sure, but it also brings a whole new level of, like, complexity and challenge to the job.
For sure. So for someone listening who's thinking, like, Long term,
Yeah.
what are some skills they could start building NOW to like be ready for this future of drone piloting?
Well, data analysis is going to be huge.
Okay.
Being able to interpret the information the drone collects, spot trends, and then translate that into like actionable insights. Invaluable.
Right.
Some basic programming knowledge wouldn't hurt either, especially as drones become, more customizable and autonomous.
It's almost like being a drone whisperer, speaking their language, understanding their quirks, and helping them like reach their full potential.
I like that. It's about bridging that gap between
Yeah.
like human ingenuity and technological capability.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make this field so exciting in the years to come.
Okay, one last question before we wrap things up. We've talked a lot about like the practicalities of this career, but what's the coolest thing learned about drones during this like whole deep dive?
Oh, man.
Something that made you go, wow, I had no idea.
Honestly, there are so many amazing applications, it's hard to choose just one.
Mm,
But I think the use of drones in disaster relief really blew me away.
really?
They're being used to assess damage after, like, earthquakes or hurricanes, locate survivors in hard-to-reach areas, even deliver essential supplies.
That's incredible. It's like something out of a movie, but it's real life and it's happening right now.
It is. And it really speaks to the potential of this technology to make a real difference in the world.
Hold on.
Not just as, like, a fun gadget,
Right?
but as a tool for good.
I love that. Well, that's a pretty inspiring note to end on. It seems like the future of drone piloting is full of possibilities, from like these high-tech career paths to opportunities to, contribute to something truly meaningful. Thanks so much for taking this deep dive with me.
My pleasure. It was fascinating to explore this topic with you.
And there you have it, listeners. We hope this deep dive into the world of drone piloting has given you a clearer picture of what it takes to succeed in this exciting and rapidly evolving field. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, remember, the sky's the limit. Until next time, keep exploring.